Welcome to the Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. This week, President Trump is expected to make his first public appearance since leaving the White House. Another country is standing up to the social media giant Facebook. They could be facing $13 million in fines for each political post they delete. Montana lawmakers are working on a bill to classify Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. While the people of Myanmar protest for the return to democracy, the army opened fire using banned ammunition. Okay, my friends, let us dive into the truth together. CPAC, the most influential annual conference for conservatives, will be held in Orlando, Florida from February 25th to the 28th. President Trump will give remarks on Sunday afternoon to conclude the event, also making his first public appearance since leaving the White House. According to sources, Trump plans to talk about the future of the Republican Party and discusses his continued presence as a key leader of the conservative movement. Audience may also expect Trump to comment on Biden's amnesty and border policies. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, former White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, Senator Josh Hawley, national security expert Gordon Chang, and actor Jon Voight are also expected to speak at the conference. Former Vice President Mike Pence, previously a regular CPAC attendee, declined the invitation to attend the conference this year. This caused some speculation of his relationship with Trump. According to Mark Short, former Pence's chief of staff, Trump and Pence departed on friendly terms from the White House despite their differences, and just last week they spoke to each other. However, in the interview with Fox News last Saturday, former White House trade advisor Peter Navarro revealed that Mark Short is not someone to be trusted. Under Trump's administration last year, the theme of CPAC in 2020 was America versus socialism. Let's take a look at Trump's speech from 2020.
Far-left radicals have become increasingly desperate and increasingly dangerous in their quest to transform America into a country you would not recognize, a country in which they control every aspect of American life. Just as socialist and communist movements have done all over the world, they're cracking down on all dissent and demanding absolute conformity. They want total control.
How true his words were. The whole world has witnessed socialism unfolding in the free world, especially since the 2020 election. This morning, the Supreme Court dismissed a series of remaining lawsuits challenging the 2020 election processes and election results in several states. The dismissed lawsuits include Lynn Wood's case against Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, Representative Mike Kelly's case against mail-in voting policies in his home state of Pennsylvania, and Trump's lawsuit against the Wisconsin results, amongst others. This is still a developing story, and we will continue to keep you updated. Meanwhile, on the same day, the Supreme Court allowed the release of President Trump's tax returns and other financial records to the New York prosecutors. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg made an aggressive statement to Australia in retaliation for the recent law demanding Facebook to pay for Australian news content published on their platform. Facebook has completely banned news published by any Australian news outlets or individuals, causing at least 13% reduction in website traffic. This apparent retaliation against one particular country raised discontent from many governments around the world. As of February 20th, a total of 15 countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Germany, and Poland, are ready to introduce new bills to regulate the operation of Facebook. The Polish government is preparing a bill to impose a fine of up to $13 million for each post Facebook deleted for political purposes. Facebook had felt the pressure from the public and began to negotiate with the Australian news industry, attempting to unwind its previous ban against Australia's news. But the correction may have come a little too late. It is not clear how many people would return to Facebook even if their accounts are restored. For those who are waiting for Trump's new social media platform, there's good news. Trump recently told friends that he has raised hundreds of millions of dollars in backing for a new social media venture. Montana lawmakers are discussing a bill to classify the anarcho-communist group Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. Over the past few years, the Antifa network and ideologically similar groups have organized and carried out violent street protests and riots in Minneapolis, Portland, Seattle, Olympia, and several other cities. Montana Representative Braxton Mitchell said the bill would send a message that we as a state won't tolerate a group like this coming into our state. Mitchell urges any group or organization in the United States to voice its opinion without using violence. Opponents to the bill asked to combine it with other groups charged with violence, including those who were involved in the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Officials, including the FBI Director Chris Wray, said that Antifa is not a group or an organization. It's a movement or an ideology. However, many observers say it is not just an ideology, a trend, but a movement as well. The ultimate goal of Antifa is to abolish the democratic states around the world and create anarchist communist communes. The winter storm in Texas has received worldwide attention. Now, the good news is that the temperature in Texas is starting to rise and electricity and water supplies are back. The bad news is that the damage is far from over and the impact is far-reaching. A shock came to some families who were trying to recover from the disaster when they found themselves facing enormous electricity bills. For example, some living in 1,300 square foot homes who paid $1,200 in electricity for the entire year of 2020 found themselves receiving a bill for $3,800 just for the period from February 1st to the 18th alone. And that's not even close to the worst case scenario. Some families received bills of $17,000 for the same time period. CenterPoint Energy has explained that a technical issue caused by the power outage led to the issuance of those incorrect billings. If you want to hear more about how green energy and perhaps even foreign interference can impact the U.S. power grid, check out our February 20th episode. The link will be in the description. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo continues to deny the nursing home scandal and refuses to apologize. New York Post reported a federal investigation may be the only way to get to the full truth of Cuomo's order to the nursing homes. Perhaps a special counsel is even needed because Cuomo has long and strong ties to Biden, who reportedly considered him for Attorney General. Cuomo was even at the White House on February 12th to meet with Biden and other governors to discuss stimulus legislation. Last April, Joe Biden said that the governor of New York has done a hell of a job and called Cuomo the gold standard. Does he still consider Cuomo the gold standard now? Let's see how his press secretary, Jen Psaki, answered the question on ABC, or kind of did answer the question.
All right, but Jen, my question was, does President Biden still believe that Andrew Cuomo is the gold standard, represents the gold standard on leadership during this pandemic? Just a yes or no. Does he still consider him the gold standard?
The president, well, it doesn't always have to be a yes or no answer, John. I think the president...
It seems even Biden is trying to avoid Cuomo at this point. Before we continue, I would once again like to thank all of you who have joined me on the journey of truth, and I would like to ask for your support by liking and sharing this video so more people can see it. And if you're enjoying the content, please donate and support the show. Our donor box link is in the description. Once again, thank you all, and let's get back to the show. Political Action Committees, or PACs, are organizations that pool contributions from members and donate those funds to political campaigns. Mitch McConnell has a well-stocked PAC called Bluegrass Committee. Last Friday, it was revealed that McConnell's PAC donated $5,000 to Representative Liz Cheney in January. The Bluegrass Committee had only 2 donations in that month. The other contribution was $105,000 to the National Republican Senatorial Committee. Liz Cheney has been a fierce Trump critic. She was one of the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach Trump on January 13th. Her relentless attack on Trump upset many of her colleagues. The House Republicans had a vote to remove Liz Cheney from the GOP leadership on February 2nd. Although Cheney had survived that vote, the fury against her among conservatives remained strong. Now, evidence shows McConnell was donating to Cheney back in January. What does this say about him? Next, we will give you a brief update of news from around the world. Please let us know if you want us to dig into any other stories in our future episodes by leaving a comment below. On Saturday, February 20th, over 1,000 protesters gathered in Mandalay, the second largest city in Myanmar, protesting against the coup and demanding a return to democracy. Hundreds of police and soldiers opened fire to suppress the crowd. Large number of bullets were shot. 2 people have been confirmed dead, 40 injured, and hundreds more were arrested. Photos and videos of violent scenes have been circulating on the internet. The wounds from the 2 deceased people are suspected to be caused by an internationally banned expanding bullet called a dum-dum. The suppression in Myanmar and the use of banned ammunition made the people recall the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre. At the time, it was also widely suspected the CCP was using similar prohibited bullets. Now, dum-dum bullets are ammunitions designed to expand on impact. This causes the bullet to increase in diameter to produce a larger wound. For being overly cruel on humans, dum-dum bullets are prohibited for use in the war since the Hague Convention in 1899. The Chinese Communist Party repeatedly denied their military aid to the Burmese military in the wake of the coup. However, an independent citizen group named Justice for Myanmar had published an investigative report revealing that at least 5 major CCP state-owned enterprises have provided arms to the Burmese military. On many Burmese protest banners, it reads, "We need U.S. Army to save our situation." The Hong Kong government plans to pass new laws to give the Director of Immigration the power to ban anyone from leaving Hong Kong. It was sparked concern from the Hong Kong Bar Association, as the law would clearly give the Director of Immigration unrestricted powers to ban Hong Kong residents and non-residents from leaving the territory. Since the implementation of the national security law in Hong Kong last June, nearly 100 people, including newspaper tycoon Jimmy Lai and pro-democracy activist Joshua Wong, have been arrested. A growing number of activists and former elected officials from the pro-democratic camp have fled Hong Kong. Right now, the political environment has led to more Hong Kong people migrating to other countries such as the UK, Canada, and Taiwan. Recently, Elon Musk's company SpaceX initiated a program researching COVID-19 in partnership with medical researchers from Harvard and MIT. Over 4,000 SpaceX workers volunteered for monthly blood tests. Researchers observed that people who experienced fewer, milder COVID-19 symptoms generated fewer antibodies and were therefore less likely to meet the threshold for long-term immunity. While Biden is showing patience and understanding towards the CCP, throwing billions to the WHO and telling Europe that America is back, Germany and France didn't appear too excited to work with Biden. They are more interested in partnering with the communist China. But some little guys in the EU did not agree with the big guy's pick. The Czech Republic and 6 smaller countries in the Baltic regions called for a tougher stance towards China at the 17+1 Group annual summit on February 9th. Deputy Foreign Minister Egidijus Milanas from Lithuania said, "We are reconsidering our approach to China." Lithuania is interested in further bilateral cooperation with China based on mutual respect for human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. Milanas says the EU members are currently divided in their views on China and that the EU should develop a common strategy to manage the relationships with the CCP. He stresses that the economic ties with Beijing must be based on respect for the rule-based world order, a point that must be at the top of the EU's agenda. In the annual report from Estonia released last Wednesday, it notes that the CCP is trying to create a rift between the United States and Europe. Beijing increased its penetration and influence in the West through investments, 5G networks, and other means of cultivating local elites. The report particularly mentioned Huawei's 5G in Badau's navigation system. Estonia had identified that the Chinese Communist Party wants a silenced world dominated by China and dependent on its technology. The CCP was offended by Estonia's report. They said the report has harmed China's people's feelings towards Estonia and hence requested to have the report revised. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Estonia, Urmas Reinsalu, has turned down this request. It's good to see people taking a stance against the bully. Well, that's it for today, my friends. Please like and share, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Also, let us know your thoughts on today's topics in the comments section down below, and which topics you want us to dig into for future episodes. We love to hear from you and appreciate your feedback and suggestions. So thank you all, and I'll see you next time.